Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fly the Coop. We're so glad to have you. Today, I am with Megan McWhite Kellner, the owner of the closing phase and what I consider an essential partner to the Cari Ann Carter Group brand. Welcome, Megan. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I know you're a busy, busy woman. I cannot wait to share with everybody your story, Megan. It's a fascinating one and such a critical part of what we do in the process of helping people through lifestyle moves, especially those families that have been in their home for so many years. So let's start from the beginning. Tell everybody about your company and who you are.
Well, my company, the closing phase, was created, I think, technically years and years and years ago. I've always been very, very organized. I've always loved to help other people. I've always actually came out of the womb organized, to be honest.
Mhm. That's
So,
awesome.
so from there, it kind of spiraled helping other people with moves or in real estate or getting organized. And then when the pandemic hit, I literally gutted everything in my house and started remodeling it. And I thought, you know what? I want to open up my own company. I'd been home for 5 years with our youngest, Adeline. And so I approached my mother in law, who has similar styles and loves doing stuff like this. And she said, when Adeline goes to kindergarten, you and I will open up a company. So we did a lot of research. And from there, we came up with the closing phase. And I remember when Adeline went in to take her test for kindergarten to see if she could go. And my husband came home and I started crying. And he said, "It's okay." And I said, "I'm not crying because she's going to kindergarten. I'm finally crying because I get to open up my company."
That is amazing. It's
Yeah.
an amazing
So,
thing. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
So from there, we started out just doing some organizational stuff, maybe some light staging, and then more and more people needed help when they had been in their home for years and years and they just had a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
So we've slowly morphed into our niche is really people that have been in their home for years, helping them go through, get rid of stuff,
Hmm.
and get organized, packed, and really getting the home ready to list when maybe things haven't been done for years and years and years.
It is a real thing. Everybody, 50% of the national population are baby boomers, have been
Mm-hmm.
in their home for a minimum of 15 years plus, up to the most recent we're working on 35 years. We all know accumulation's a real thing.
Yeah.
And when you look at, we'll throw up some before and afters of what we do. We have found in this time in the world with all this life transition happening that your role and our partnership has been critical
Mm-hmm.
to a successful transition with our clients.
Yeah.
It's a serious business, and they really need you to be there shoulder to shoulder, like you are going through everything with them. Everything.
Everything. And so many people have so much stuff and they don't realize how much stuff they really have
Mm-hmm.
until you really dive into it and
Mm-hmm.
you walk down into someone's basement and it's wall to wall. They've kept stuff they didn't even know they had.
Yeah.
So, really purging that stuff, donating, getting rid of it, and walking that path with, you know, each person, may it be a couple or may it be a single person who has lost a spouse,
Mm-hmm.
just being there to walk with them um, through that journey of getting their house ready to go.
Mm-hmm. It's a real thing where it will just use because it's a very similar circumstance and set of events every single time. So we'll do a case study, if you will, around the one we're dealing with right now today. Um, we're working with a widow, beautiful custom home. big 5,000 square foot home. That's standard. Family, siblings, the siblings that are the children of this owner that are so grateful to Megan and her organization, not only in managing the stuff, we call it stuff management, but the full purging and packing of the home and the preparation, because there's so many, as part of the organization. Megan, you can share a little bit about the contracting piece, because that's equally important in getting these homes for the ROI, the return on the investment. There's work involved every single time: plumbing, electrical, painting, carpet, flooring materials, yada, yada, yada. So share with them how that works in your timetable around that. I think that it's a fascinating process to get to the point where we can come in, stage, and actually market the property.
Yeah. Well, I think the fun thing for me is to walk through a home, to meet that owner and really see the vision, I think, of what it can be. Um, there's that transitional period when you're looking at something and then all of a sudden new paint or new light fixtures or, you know, electrical switches that maybe aren't working or things that haven't been working, but then the
Mhm.
homeowner doesn't really realize that. So it's a process from start to finish. You have to get in, you have to help them purge their stuff
Mhm.
so that you can get to the bones of the home and then start doing some updating so that when that time comes to list that home, everything is ready to go.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Working with
Absolutely.
all different contractors, working with painters, working with all different kinds of people, but then also knowing that that person is still living there and trying to make sure that this adjustment works for them too.
Right.
Um, you and I were talking earlier, but you had just mentioned the client that we're working with now. He had one room in that house where he had his computer, he had his internet, he had his TV, and we needed to move him out of that room. And he called me um, 2 nights ago, late at night, and said, Meg, I need back in that room. So I had to rally the troops. We had to get everybody over there in the morning, get the room ready, fix all the holes, take the desk down, get all the stuff out of there, get the painters in there yesterday afternoon so that we could meet this morning and get him back into the office because it's
Mhm.
the one room in the house that he wanted back.
Yeah,
So that's
it's his
ready to
grounding.
go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's working in
Yeah,
alignment and getting them comfortable, even though they're moving. When you've been in your home for that long, there has got to be some empathy about this process, this emotional process. There's all kinds of joy in right sizing everybody. There's an amazing lift, a weight that's lifted off the shoulder every single time. It's not easy to get there. Having a partnership to help you is critical and so
yeah,
valuable. So, so, so valuable. So, in the layers of servicing, from the purging process and stuff management, and that's multifaceted, right? I mean, there's all
yo,
kinds of things going on there to deal
yeah,
with stuff management. I always say, it's the editing of life and being able to transition into the right size space, whether that be local or cross border, which we can talk a little bit about. You help with that as well.
right.
So it's quite vast, the servicing, and navigating, especially if relocation's not involved, navigating a way to transport, identifying the things that are your love, your passion that you must have, and then figuring out how to pack them and store them properly and get them to their destination. That is a
Yeah,
part of the many services you offer. So,
yeah.
what do you think the biggest win, now that you've had some time to really have some big stories behind you, some big moves under your belt, really big ones? What's the win and the learning lesson and the transition coming into 2023 in terms of your expansion? Because you're growing very quickly.
Yes, yes. Well, I think one of the most rewarding things, and how I have grown my company so quickly, you create these relationships with these homeowners because you're going through their life. You
Mm-hmm.
are going through every step of their life. Some of them have lived there. I think the biggest one I've done is they've lived there for 53 years. So you've
Oh,
gone through
wow.
their stuff, you're going through their stuff, you're going through marriage, you're going through, maybe a death of a spouse or getting older, the transitions of doing all that. So I think the most rewarding thing is when you walk in, there's so much fear,
Yeah.
um, behind those eyes of how are we going to make this happen? That
Mm-hmm.
is the question I get the most. How are you going to do this?
How?
I don't see this as even possible.
Mm-hmm. That is a big fear out there.
Yeah,
Paralysis. Paralysis is a real thing. Like
yeah,
it's even though they really want to make a change, a part of our win as an organization, as a partnership, is we rip off a really very stuck band-aid. It's a
yeah.
very stuck band-aid. And it's a little bit, I mean, it is to say it isn't a little painful for them would be a lie. We just try to take the pain out of it and make it all gain, all win, bring joy into the process and make them
Every
feel
day.
super supported so they can get through
Yes,
it. Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that that is a key element here. I mean, my job, yes, is to go in and help with that stuff, but it's also to listen and to I ask them one question that I feel is so important is when you're going through this stuff with me, think about where you're going, where
Mm-hmm.
your life is going to be. Are you
Right.
going to need all this stuff? No. What's your goal? Do you want to spend time with grandkids? Do you want to travel? Are you gone half the year in Florida or Arizona or
Right.
wherever you're going to be? You
Mm-hmm.
don't need all this stuff. So it makes it a lot easier for that transition.
Right.
And then they feel like they still have some control over the situation,
Mm-hmm.
that we're not just getting rid of everything.
Right.
They're able to touch it and they're able to say, you're right, I don't need that.
And they're
And then,
able to say goodbye to it. Yeah.
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 And then once
Hmm.
that process starts, it, you start to see the light in their eyes like, okay, this is really happening.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you start getting a little momentum going.
Yeah.
And then you start to see excitement
Hmm.
versus fear.
Right.
And then they start to see the change in the house too.
Hmm.
Um, the same client that we're talking about earlier, I went over last night at probably 6 o'clock. I just wanted to do a walkthrough with him. Once again, he was a fish out of water. He had the radio on, and I said, "What are you doing?" He didn't have any internet. He didn't have any computer. He didn't have any TV. So he was just sitting there listening to the radio. So we sat and chatted for a while and we did a walkthrough in the house. And oh, it was so exciting. We laughed and he said, I really see the transition now. I see the vision. It's
Hmm.
starting to happen.
Yeah.
And it was laughter versus fear. And
Right.
that is a really important thing to see in the sellers to really know that they will
Exactly.
get out of this position that they're in.
Well, and articulating, and it's a hard thing when we both of us have talked about this and when we visit with clients together or the families, or just generally speaking, when we're talking to the team about it. I think personally, and I mean, our opinion, we can't weigh that opinion and expect everybody to onboard with the opinion. Regardless, like once you hit that baby boomer age group, right? And you're leaving this home that you raised your family in and you've had a good part of life in. Can you view that as you're closing this chapter and opening up this new door? You can choose to look at that and it's a daunting and sad feeling, or fill yourself up with excitement about the opportunity to transition and do a whole new kind of life, right? It's
Yeah,
truly a psychological thing, that a process that people are going through and articulating. You and I spent a lot of time trying to navigate, because most people live in a place where they're fearful, overwhelmed, and a little sad because
Yeah.
they're saying goodbye, but it's not goodbye. It's I had this amazing experience here, and now I get to have a new experience in a new place,
Yeah.
new opportunity, and new experiences. And we spent a lot of time talking about that with
Yeah.
people to get them excited about the prospect of transition, because that's what this is.
Well, and it is a process. I think originally it starts out with fear. There's oceans of emotions with
That's so true.
this. If
That's
you're dealing
brilliant. Oceans of
of
emotions.
it is
Brilliant.
because one day you walk in and then there's fear. And then the next minute it's, they're scared. And then the next minute it's, well, what's going to happen? And then the next minute they're excited. And then one day they're laughing. And then the next day they're crying. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think I have not yet worked with a family, a couple, a person who, once we get them to the next phase,
Mm-hmm.
they are not thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
It's that weight that you take off of their shoulders.
Yeah.
It's fear in the beginning, but once they start the process with you, that excitement builds and builds and builds. And then the fear is still there. Moving day. Oh my gosh, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then then you get them moved into their new place and you help them unpack and you help them. They're thrilled. They're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely thrilled. It's
Yeah.
always There's always happiness. I
Always
have not
happiness.
had one family that is not absolutely thrilled once they get there.
100% agree with that every single time. Every
Yeah.
single time. This partnership with the closing phase is a real thing, everybody. There is a huge need that people don't even realize until we like the client we're leveraging. We've had many stories over the past year. We're just using this most recent one as an example. No idea that a Megan or a closing phase existed. Oh my gosh, the kids of this family are so grateful for Megan and her team right now. They literally said in an email, "Thank you, Dad, for doing this for the family. We are so grateful to not be the ones in that role." And
Oh,
we just
yes.
talked about this. These families now, listen, life is what it is right now. It is darn busy. Like, we're both parents, we both operate businesses, we have teams. All of our clients that are in our age group or younger all have careers. And the
Mm-hmm.
demands in our life now and the demands in a career are real. I mean, it's significant and the complexity is real. And a time available beyond the normal rhythm of life is not, there's not a lot of extra left. So when a family has an opportunity to bring in a third party, which goes better anyway, because you're not related, right? That's a
Exactly.
real thing.
That is the real thing right there.
Uh-huh. It's a
It,
it's
it
a real thing.
it is because it's funny. In the beginning, the families will be a part of it. And after 2 or 3 days, they realize, okay, she
She's
knows
got
what she's
this.
doing. She's got this. We're all going to back away and just let her deal with mom or dad or mom and dad or,
Mhm.
brother, sister, whoever is helping with this process.
Right.
They realize, okay, she's got a handle on this. Now we're just going to back away. And I think it's easier than for the homeowner to say, okay, they're not related. They're not trying to tell me what to do. This is a process that she's done before, and that process has worked. That
Mhm.
process has brought every single home to our end
To the
goal.
market. Yeah.
Yeah,
To the market
market.
where we can sell in a beautiful
Yeah.
way. The formula is very well organized, and it's visionary. Like, we know when we walk through, we know exactly what that product's going to look like when we're done with it. And there's a
Exactly.
formula to get you through the process. And I can
Yeah.
assure you, my friends, most of the industry has no idea how to do that. Very few
No.
people. There are many gifts that are brought together by many people. It takes a team, a village. It's a real thing. Nothing
Absolutely.
about transactions at all here. It's
Yeah.
way beyond that. This is about life and about managing life and managing um, a process that's very much emotional, psychological, and personal, super uber personal. Man, we're down to the nitty gritty of the undies and contracts and wills and like and everything in between. We are in people's lives in a very deep way.
Yeah. You create a relationship with these
Mhm.
people where, you become part of their everyday life. I
Mhm.
mean, every single day you're there. And even on Saturdays or Sundays or nights or, whatever the case, they might have a question, they might have a phone call, and you're there to walk them through the process,
Right.
to reassure them, don't worry, this is going to happen. Showing up every day with a smile on your face, regardless of where they're at,
Mhm.
is so important because it reassures them this is going to happen.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. There is a process. And when they see that process, they become more confident in their decision, and you know, the decision that I'm not a family member, so I can help them walk through
Right.
this, and this
Yep.
without them being offended.
Right. Well, offended and they're going to be more careful about the fight behind the tug of war. I call it the tug of war, personal property. The It's a big ask, right? When you're
Mhm.
making a life change, to part with things that have been in your life, sometimes your whole life. But I haven't used that thing in 20 years. And that third party person who's now become a friend, but just enough of a separation there, a healthy one that you can say, when's the last time you used that thing? Do we
Oh,
really need it anymore? How many times have you said that, Megan?
and
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
some of the people that have held on to stuff so tightly are the ones in the end throw it, throw it, throw it.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving things away faster than the one, I mean, they start out wanting to keep everything and
Yeah,
they end up giving away everything because there's empowerment behind that
there
too.
is.
There's a freedom that you start to feel lighter and lighter and lighter by giving it. And
Mm-hmm.
also we do a lot of donating. So giving back to the community is also a huge part um, of people being able to let stuff go,
Right.
giving it a new life, which is really important. And then that becomes important to them. So what they thought, oh, I need to keep that, all of a sudden, nope, I'm going to donate that. That can go to a new family. Somebody else can use that. That makes them feel good as well. So
Absolutely.
that,
Absolutely. Uh, People have no idea how much they really have until
oh,
you've been in the home for about a week and it's like, wow, this is a lot of stuff.
well, and it's funny, but current
Oh,
client that we're working with right now, I mean, um, we ended up getting a dumpster,
yeah.
and he thought we're never going to fill that. Well, we're on our almost third dumpster now.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're throwing stuff away, it's you don't realize things are broken, things
Hmm.
are outdated, you can't,
Sell
you,
them, give them away. That's a
yeah,
real thing. I mean, we would be
yeah,
lying to say that's not a real thing. There's a whole lot of personal property out there that just simply doesn't have a place anymore. There's no
yeah.
use for it anymore.
And
And it has
some
to go somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
and updating, taking out different cabinetry that maybe just isn't functional in the house anymore.
Hmm.
Light fixtures, things like that. A table maybe that is just, maybe attached in the kitchen that it needs to go.
Right.
And there's no home for that. So it ends up in a dumpster.
Right.
But we laughed
Unfortunately.
about it. At
Yeah,
first,
we do.
we went out, yeah. And then we ended up laughing about it just the other day. It was he thought it was hilarious, the fact that he had so much stuff and he didn't even realize it. You
Yeah.
just don't realize it.
None of them do. None of them do. So I think the moral of the story for everybody, Megan, first, there's not many. I know. I mean, over 20 years in the business, it took me a long time to find this alignment with Megan. There's not many people that are Megans in the world. You're a unicorn. I'll call you a
Yeah,
unicorn. You're a beautiful unicorn.
thank
And
you.
the um need out there is higher than you'll ever see it again. Like right now, between now, I'm going to give it a 5 year span, a whole lot of moving happening over the next 2 years. Uh, the largest population of life transition ever in our history is happening right now.
Mhm.
The
Yes,
wealth community of our baby boomers owns 40% of our market share in this country. We are sitting on the wealthiest populace of humans in our country that we're probably ever going to see. And all of them are ready to make a shift, a change in
yeah,
life. They've all come, it's all happening at one time right now. Hence the reason you're hiring and bringing more people on board because you've been really, really busy.
yeah.
Uh, so to know when we say concierge level, it comes from years of understanding what the need is to supply the consumer, the client, with the support system they need. This is not just about putting a house on the market and selling it. It's a
Not at all.
whole lot more. We're about
Yeah,
the whole lot more. With the creme brulee on the back end that we make you more money because we get your product to your home to a place where it's highly valuable because we've created
yes,
this lifestyle for the next generation coming in, which has to happen because they're
yeah.
very visual people. Aesthetics are important. So you are a critical part of that. And I'm so excited to be able to share your business model and your person to everybody out there. And if you have a family member or you are in a place in life right now where you need that kind of support, here's your lady. She's right here for you.
Thank you, Cari Ann.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to share with everybody before we finish our interview today?
Um, no, I mean, I guess I look forward to learning and growing and really putting out the need that's out there, and helping more people. I
We'll add
really
your link. Yeah. Megan McWhite Kellner has not only an amazing team supporting her work, she also has a general contractor partnership. So she's working with us on preparation work for these homes. It's an amazing combination, really hard to find. So the closing phase, you'll see the link below. And we're so excited to venture into 2023 and help a whole lot more people, Megan. It's going to be
yes, I agree.
fun ride. Very
I
cool.
look forward.
Me
Thank you so
too.
much, Karen.
Absolutely. You have a beautiful day. Thank you, everybody. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon. Take care.
Take